Motor Pass ends in 20 days. As you can see, there's an option here missing that would be buy Motor Pass. Or I guess that when you buy it, you can buy the levels. But as you're going to see here briefly, we finished all the levels. So I thought what we would do here, since we're basically at the end of the season. And did they call it season? No, what do they call it? At the end of the agency event. We're missing one event, but you know, I'm not gonna wait for it. We're gonna do some of these events that are here now, and then just ignore the one that's, oh, you know, actually it would be the fun one, Vine Niva Plus. I don't know. Yeah, let's oh, I exited. Let's go over the battle pass, motor pass. I'm sorry. Look at the rewards one last time, in case you missed the video where I talked about them initially. Yeah, so I think there's been, I don't know how many motor passes there's been. There've been like 3 or something like that. And they've all been kind of sporadic in terms of rewards. But this is what we've got in this one. We got the Jaguar F type. I'm not gonna name all of them. Let's just like hover over so you can kind of see what was here. I guess these are going away and you're not gonna be able to get them again. Some of them are, you know, less desirable than others. Like I think the car toppers are pretty notable because there's not like a ton of them. And then maybe some of the wheels are cool. Got a little scanny underglow. Yeah, these I think the make or break for the motor pass is really, do you want the cosmetics? Because the cosmetics are, I don't know how exclusive they are. I would imagine that they're only in the motor pass. That's how every other motor pass works. Wow, that's so awkward. You can't see the thing. Yeah, we'll go through it. We'll outfit a car with some of these things so you can see it in action. I feel like these do a great job of just showcasing the way that they work. Usually these aren't the ones that I pick, so. You got driver outfits, even though you never see your driver. Some of these. Yeah, I feel like categorically, these cannot be common because once the motor pass goes away, that's it. I mean, I guess common is more denoting the style of the thing and what you can expect from that in that regard. Yeah, big Bentley crossover here. Got money. I think this motor pass, like the others I checked, you get these through credits, which is how you initially buy the motor pass. But even if you buy the motor pass, there's only enough to account for about half of another motor pass. So I think some games kind of follow this mentality of being able to, if you buy one motor pass or one battle pass and then play a lot, then it will just pay for itself in future battle passes. And I'm just rewarding you for playing more and more. I don't know if rewarding is really the right term, but you know, you get more bang for your buck, so to speak. Yeah, and then you know, the vehicles that you get in the motor pass are kind of really up in the air. I don't feel strongly about most of the stuff in this motor pass personally. The smoke stuff's kind of cool. If you have nothing in terms of cosmetic items, I can see them being like somewhat appealing. Also take note of like the free items that are being given away too. Like some of those might be enough to be like, oh, okay, you know, I don't really want the bacon underglow car strip thing. I'll just opt for nothing, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And then also take note that some of the crew credits are available for in the free variation of the battle motor pass, but most are not. So in theory, if you know, made the initial buy-in of whatever the case may be, $60 for the video game. But yeah, this is the final, you know, car topper. It's like one of the things that's featured in the events, but otherwise not functional. I mean, I think it lights up, but yeah, so you get, let's just count for this one. I don't know if it's variable every time. 5,000, maybe just 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Yeah, 15,000. So the motor pass is 80,000 typically, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, if you're just saving and again, not paying any amount of credits for motor pass and you're, you know, you bought the game and you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to get by without it, then you'd have to wait 3-4 motor passes. And then ideally the one after at some point in the future is one you want, not one that is about to pass you by. It's worth noting that at least at this point, the events tied to the completion of the motor pass are not gated behind the motor pass purchase. So regardless of if you purchase the motor pass or not, you're basically at the same pace as everyone else doing the motor pass, as well as, which is to say you don't get events early and you don't get extra events for purchasing the motor pass. So everyone has access to the same kind of events. So some of these, again, we're still 2-3 weeks left in this motor pass, or we're in the middle of the 3rd week left. And then there's 2 extra weeks of events and also another challenge that they can unlock, or event that they can unlock. And you can see I completed the motor pass. I did some of the dailies, but for the most part, I would have probably been done with the motor pass this week regardless, just based on the events that I could do. I didn't do any of the ones that involved the crew. I cherry picked the ones that I wanted to do. So clearly there's this one with the crew that I didn't do because I don't play with anyone. I could have done this one for extra motor pass thing, drive in reverse. I think I just opted not to do that because whatever. And then, you know, there's still these extra things. So there's more than enough events to complete the motor pass. That shouldn't really be that shouldn't be a problem, regardless of if you purchase it or not. Or, you know, if you want to just do a one and done situation, you can play a lot at the end of the motor pass once all the events are unlocked, and then finish it at the end. Like, you know, in a week's time, you could probably do it in less than a week's time if you only played the crew or something. Might be a fun challenge, so to speak. Okay, so let's outfit a car with some of these things, and then let's do some of the let's go through the events that were in the motor. Yeah, let's do this one. Select customize. So vanity items are where some of these things are. Yeah, this is in a previous motor pass. This is the Earth Breaker tire. And then Earth Breaker, there's no preview here. I think of the two, so you get these Agent Smoke as well as Earthbreaker Smoke. Let's just do the complete set. Earthbreaker Underglow. Yeah, it looks like, you know, I think it's supposed to be like a trail situation, obviously, but I just think it looks like bacon. And then I don't really use the horns that much, so we're just gonna go with the rabbits one. And so my issue with the toppers, I think they're kind of cute, but the rabbits one on this car, okay, and this car it's like relatively centered, so it's not that bad, but on some cars it's not centered. I find that incredibly frustrating. Or you have this where, you know, this clearly wasn't designed for this car, so the edges of the stands or the lights are not on the car. It's hard to see on this, but yeah, let's equip it just for this event, or for some events, so you can kind of see what's going on. I don't know, maybe we'll keep it. Let's make it orange. Okay, as I said, there's one more event left in the agency event series, and it will likely be this Vegas run, but in a take-two situation, which we'll go through some of those. So I played through all these initially, but let's just play through them again so you can kind of see. It's going to be barely different, really. You can kind of take note of the scores here, and then I'll even change the difficulty. Okay, no, it doesn't say. So to complete the challenge on Pro, or Ace rather, you probably need about 55,000 for this first event, but you can clearly see the peak score is 872,000. We're gonna do this right now. I'm not gonna come anywhere near that, but we might kind of hit close to something, the other one, 55,000-ish maybe. Yeah, so I think that these events are in particular very funky events to operate in the predefined format of the crew, just because like the crew events are kind of weird in that there are 3-tier difficulties, but it just doesn't always make sense in the context of the game. Or I'm struggling to think of where it would make sense at all. So in a game where you already have like a global leaderboard that you're kind of competing against, I feel like what it should have been is you can do the event and then it just rates you based on your performance. And kind of the bigger goal that you're shooting for anyway is the global leaderboard performance. So, you know, like if I'm doing this event, which is a single player event, mind you, if I get, my target here is 19,000. If I get 50,000 or even, you know, double the score, which is roughly what the intermediate or hard score target is, I won't get credit for doing hard, despite the fact that nothing changes in the event once I do it on hard. Oops. Remember, I'm good at the event, I promise. And so I find that to be like kind of a weird structure for most events, but these ones in particular. And you know, I feel like a lot of that is just the rigidity at which the crew 2 has been made. does not let you do something like that. Yeah, then we could go through and like do a couple more difficulties just so you could see what, but it's the same. The event is the same, nothing changes, except for your score target. Which again, you may or may not, oh my God, you may or may not hit by way of just doing it. I'm pretty sure we just passed the hard mode target already. Yeah, but this is not different. This is exactly the same as when I did it the first time on normal. Yeah, and again, so it's actually showing the higher score target in the top of 870,000, which is again a frustrating thing to see because I'm not going to get that. But also, the way that you end up getting it seems like highly exploitative, and oh come on, highly exploitative in a way that I don't love. And I feel I think I've talked about this at some point other than now, but it just kind of seems like a thing where the game is broken, but for one reason or another, they are not fixing it, and they will likely not fix it. Or it's intended, but it's just so janky the way that you end up getting like a high score like that it is really frustrating to look at and kind of frustrating to deal with in like a leaderboard context. This has the agency events have shown up in the summit, and so the higher score ceilings oftentimes don't come into that much of a factor in terms of summit ranking. So I guess in that way it's not that bad, but it's just like a really funky thing to look. Again, I got 55,000, which is I think close to the pro score, if not beating it, and the world record is 870,000, and that's not like they did the event cleaner. It's like effectively cheating, or not. You know, maybe I'm being a baby about it. Who can say? Yeah, and then this like ranking system in my mind should be more or less the way that other events happen in the crew as well. So oftentimes, especially in every single player event, the thing, you're not competing against anyone. You're just competing against a score or a time target. And so I feel like it's just a great example of not having to do the event 3 times for no reason. But again, I think it's just like an archaic system from the crew. Oh my God, frame rate. From the crew 1 that was just brought over into the crew 2 for I don't know why. And I was talking about the crew 3, probably in the video for this week's summit. I don't even know if it made it in. Yeah, it's making me think about the idea of a crew 3 and kind of the things that would end up staying. And I feel like the gear system is one of those things that really should not stay if they make another crew game, because at least the way it is implemented is not that interesting. Okay. I feel like I wasn't really close to that, but that's okay. We'll just go with it. The near misses in this are particularly egregious, in my opinion. Like you're super close to a car, but then it doesn't give you the near miss because you know, you ghost tap it or something like that. What was I saying? Gear system. Oh my God, I'm going for a near miss. I'm screwing myself. Oh, ranking. Yeah, so I think this series of events for me just highlights how not good the actual difficulty system is in some of these events. I mean, to be honest, even in the competitive events where you're driving against other drivers, it's still frustrating because I think the thing that ultimately matters there is still also the leaderboard time. And like the other people being there are just being annoying, not really that much of a factor. And I think when you start doing them and your car is maxed out, they're still not a factor for the most part if you're driving really well. And so, you know, I just question why bother. And no, I don't want every game to turn into Trackmania. I think that's the thing I've said in the past, because I think Trackmania is like its own special and unique thing. Oh, sorry. So if you honk the horn, it turns on the car topper, which is how some car toppers work. Or I guess most of the ones that are already currently in the game. You can light them up. They're highly interactive. They're interactive like. I have to take this car topper off because it's kind of hard to see where I'm going, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think every game should or needs to be Trackmania, or racing game in particular. But something like this, I feel like is a great example of why it could, or how it could work, and would probably work better in this particular instance. Which is, I mostly bring it, I bring it up because it's a arcadey actiony driving game, but also it's a Ubisoft property, and I feel like it's a great, you know, they're not the same teams working on all the games, but I feel like there should be some degree of collectively building off of each other's foundational work. Especially if they're, you know, like most games that Ubisoft makes, they have a shocking number of similarities structurally. It's worth noting also that the events here will be staying, even though the motor pass will be going away. So if you're looking at this and you're just like, wow, the events look cool, what were the previous events like? You can play them if you so desire. Yeah, I think it's also worth noting that there was like a pretty significant gear ring change in this update for the crew. That I think is just notable because it's so they made, oh my gosh, really? They made it so you get more gear effectively, and the curve, or the amount of time it takes to fully gear a car for high-level pro events, or ace events, I guess in particular. Just upgrading the car in general. It's a lot faster. And I am all for making it faster, but I do also think that it throws into question kind of the importance of the gear system in this game in general. Because it's not as simple as just like upgrading cars and making them faster, because if it was just that, I don't think it would matter. But, you know, I think that they pitch this game as something of like a loot game, like an ARPG or something like that, and I feel like it just doesn't work in this game. I just don't think it's like that enjoyable to do in a car game. And I feel like to some degree they agree, because they just make it so you do it less. So that's kind of like a weird fold in the game right now. It's just like, it's remarkably faster. So for those not aware, there are performance parts in the crew with a gear and eye level system, which just broadly makes your car faster. But yeah, I feel like it shouldn't have it. It's just so weird the way that they've done it. We're just blazing through events here. Yeah, I would definitely personally prefer if there were like no upgrades, honestly. Because it makes some other aspects of the game just quite questionable. Like, so they want you to upgrade your vehicles, and then they have, oh yeah, this is going to be a funny event to watch now, because I'm just going to do Eka backflips. Because they do have events where it's like performance based, but I think the floor for the performance in the summit is that your car is fully upgraded, or upgraded to some certain degree. And it's just, a silly barrier to entry if you just expect people to upgrade the car anyway. Like, why not just, oh gosh, really? I'm doing so bad at these events. Why not just have a baseline for everything so that the competitive part of it is much more clearly defined instead of having a barrier to, you know, I have this issue with MMO, or most games now actually, where there's like this tricky thing where I think Destiny was the first game that made me really think, like, why are you gearing? Like, what about the gear makes a difference in a raid context? Because, like, I mean, I know the answer is that if you gear, then you're gonna have to spend more time playing the video game. But it's like an incredibly unsatisfying answer to a question about time investment. Because it's just so transparently like, we need you to keep playing the video game. So we're going to make it so it takes as long as possible for you to be able to play the video game. And so it's just this unnecessary friction in this game in particular. And I have a weird aversion to gearing systems in games that have other components to them. Like, this game is a little frustrating because part of the, oh, that didn't count for the crate. Part of the experience of a driving game is a lot of manual dexterity. And that doesn't change as the gearing process happens. I mean, you know, naturally, like, faster cars are like harder to control or whatever, but in this game in particular, you can still have that curve because there's different classes of cars that are all different speeds. And so you can still have that progression in the game without having a gear system, if that is an important component of the game, which, to be honest, I don't think it is even. Oh, this is a lot awkward. Because, like, weirdly, this game is not about cars or anything. And this game is like it's a Red Bull commercial that you could play. And the car is just like an avenue to get to that weird pseudo extreme sports high or something. Oh, I got a yellow part. Cool. I got a light. Yeah, so I feel like the gearing system, oh wow, how did I end up on? The gearing system does not do this game any favors, in my opinion. And I feel like it is just an unnecessary barrier to get to higher level events, which, you know, ultimately don't matter, I don't think. Like, the ace events are not super enjoyable. I'm not like, you really need to play the crew to do the ace events, because nothing about them really changes. And even from a competitive standpoint, I feel like you don't even need the ace events at all, because it's all on the same leaderboard anyway. And so a lot of the system is just very awkward and confusing now. And so they haven't talked about the crew. I feel like I've mentioned the crew 3 multiple times. They have not teased the crew 3 at all. I don't know why my thing is the crew 3 right now, but if there was the crew 3, I think these are the kinds of things where I would really hope that they're trying to think about and make, like, really good decisions on. Oh man, that's so awkward. Still made it. Because I think that would be the difference between the crew. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think would have to change about the crew to make it a much different game, or, you know, a broadly better game. But the gearing system is one of those things that I hope that they are thinking about. And at the very least, even if they don't land on, like, the perfect solution, I hope it's a thing that they try to change and try to make interesting. Probably the most disappointing thing about the gearing system in the crew and all of these, in my opinion, band-aid changes is that it's still built off of the system in the crew 1, which was itself not that great or interesting. I think that the major change is that there are sets, but the sets are, you know, whatever. Like compared to like sets in like an actual action RPG, like they're very different. And I think that's what they are aspiring to be, and I think that's what they should be, but I think that they should be much more different than they are. Or much more like they should really define the way that you play. Otherwise, like, why are you even bothering getting, like, why invest the time and effort to get the set? You know, what's the point? Oh boy, I almost didn't make that. And you know, as someone that's played this game a lot, I wouldn't mind if it was, bigger and better than it is now. And I feel like the way that they get there is by shaking things up and trying things that are different. 'Cause I would rather the crew be a thing that, you know, permitting, assuming that they can do it and it's good enough for it to not be a commercial failure, which I guess the motivating factor in many of these decisions that I ultimately don't like. Is if they try a bunch of different things that ultimately don't work, I think it's worthwhile to just try to change as many things as possible to land on the crew experience. Because is this like the most ultimate the crew experience? Like, I don't know. I hope not, because I think that they can take it further and like make a much more interesting video game. Okay, so these that we just played, these 5 events that we just played were available initially, I think, when the Motor Pass launched, or when the season started, and the agency, in the Motorflix franchise. And then they added 5 extra ones, or they will add 5 extra ones over the course. The last one is not in yet, but they added these extra ones over the course of the previous, I don't know, like month of time. And they are extra takes on the events that you already did. Most notably with different vehicles. So this is a touring car, but in the Dallas Rush event. So it's still the same event, but you just are going to be doing it in a faster vehicle, which changes the stakes, changes the mood, the tone. It changes everything. You can still notice that the score situation is still ridiculous, which is fun. I think the score thing is one thing where to me, it seems broken and cheaty, but if people like that it is just absolutely ridiculous, then I can appreciate that on some level, I think. I think most of my frustration comes from the fact that I'm doing it solo for the most part, and I think one of the avenues that you would end up doing this is with people. The score ceiling is much higher if you do it in the crew. In the crew. That's just bad grammar is what happened right there. Yeah, so you can already see with a much faster car, the event is even more silly. So this is a stunt-based event technically, and even though we are in a faster vehicle, we have access to the same stunts. So. Theoretically, you would actually be doing the same exact thing, just faster, which could change what you do, but likely won't. Oh, there you go. And then you do like a barrel roll, and you get no points for it. Yeah, there's extra components to this where you can do like extra tricks. It's stunt based, so you can do extra tricks. I don't know any. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Is that the thing? I think I got it backwards actually. Oh, I don't need to turn. What was I doing? Let's just go back to the track. Ah. Yeah, so I've done this a bunch out of habit, so you probably will be noticing that I just literally did the same exact route on the track, as few differences as possible. Oh my gosh, what is it? Okay, I'll just go back on the track. Collision is like really funky sometimes. It always feels like it's magneting me into a car, which is not what I want, obviously. Yeah, they change the the time of day sometimes. They change car, obviously, but it's still the same set of events. I think if you come in at the start of an event and then you're just like, let me check out these cool new events or whatever, then it's effectively the same thing across for the next 2 months. Is how long this one lasted. Just a little under 2 months. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm really into the red glowy wheels and rainbow underglow. Oh, whoops, I didn't nitro all the way. Get the nitro initially. Cool. Got him. That part is strictly RNG. If there's no cars that show up there, then you don't really get a lot of points. Oh, you know, I've forgotten. One really annoying component about this is there are voice lines at play that are incredibly frustrating. They were already not amazing in the core game, and they have not gotten better in this. There are new voice lines, I think, but I'll turn them on after this event. I need to remember to do it, because when you play this for several hours, as they want you to do, I'm pretty sure, it becomes really frustrating to listen to. Because it's Hero, I think is what the dude's name is. Being like, watch the suspension. That's not how he sounds. Just like the way it's playing out. You can see the subtitles for it for sure. Oh, look, I got an event for the Motor Pass, which is done. Can I get extra crew credits for the extra challenges that I'm doing that I don't need to do? And I'm just playing because I love the crew, you know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, what happened right there? Okay, cool. If I accelerate, then I don't move. Got the nitro at the last minute. Yeah, so I ended up with like a lower score. That was not a better run though, so that's okay. I need to remember to turn on the audio. Oh, for the voiceover, rather. Yeah, I'm also realizing that I think the crew has always been this way, but for some reason now in this season, I have an extra frustration with having to go in and out of the open world. Like I don't spend much time in the open world casually, so it seems like it is a really annoying part of the game to have to interface with. Like if this was a completely menu-driven game, it would to me just be a better game. And, I wouldn't have to load the open world every time. It just dump me out to a menu. I want to go to the menu anyway after the race. I can pick up the stuff. And then there's like little...
Give us a lot of action scenes.
I think Laura is the director for the Motorflix company. Why are you here? Oh, I didn't need to nitrous.
Tight, but safe.
Type of safe. I got kind of funky because I bounced when I landed. Or I hit the ceiling, or something funky happened.
Close call.
Why is there traffic?
Oh, my new paint!
Oh, my new paint. You know, it's like the frequency of the voice lines, right? Just take note of the things that he's saying.
Some jump.
So I clipped a car there because there was some hard air next to the thing. Yeah, and then the annoying thing is like, you should be hyping me up, dude. I'm driving here, I'm trying to have a good time. And he says some jump with like a sarcastic tone. And I'm like, okay, well, was it a bad jump? Like, you gotta tell me so I can like redo it or something, do it better next time. Like, you're giving me nothing.
Lost any teeth?
Lost any teeth? What are you saying? I'm in a car.
Some jump.
Damn it, thought I could get the nitrous before I hit the wall and then not have to deal with it. But alas.
Oh, my new paint!
Remember how you said my new paint just like 30 seconds ago? My shocks. Yeah, I don't think it's Hero or whoever you start the game with. It just sounds like the same person to me. Like, super similar. Need a cracker real fast. Yeah, see, look, I had to pick up the loot. Otherwise, it would send it to my HQ. Like, why did you do that? That's not what I wanted. Just give me the loot. Okay, and then the last event we got left is the bonus. So we previously did this on a motocross, on a bike. So now you're gonna get to see it with a car. I'll try to do all the jumps so you can see how ridiculous it is in a car versus in a bike. In a car that can't do backflips versus a bike that could do backflips. Yeah, I would say overall, I think the event is cool in theory, but I think actually playing the event is not my favorite. Let's see. It's kind of interesting that this is the event too, because in my mind, the crew is like strictly, the crew is incredibly diluted from whatever I thought it was anyway, but I think in my brain, think of the crew as like a driving game, and particularly like vaguely a racing game. Yeah, there you go, lost any teeth? No, I'm fine, I'm still in a car. Yeah, so, I imagine this as being a racing game, and then we do an event like this, which is just...
Some jump.
Okay, see, that was a some jump thing, because I fucked up the jump, but he still says it when I do a good jump. So I'm just getting mixed signals from this guy. Is this like a bad person to have here? I feel like I need a hype man, not a some jump man. Let's take the bike race one. Uh-oh, this is bad.
Oh, my shocks!
Oh, my shocks. Oh, my darling.
Lost any teeth?
Yeah, let's do this one again. It said lost my teeth twice in this event already.
Oh, my shocks!
Oh, my shocks. It's just like, you had to know he was gonna say it a lot, right? Oh, let's see if I can make the. Oh no.
Faint.
Try to make this. Yeah, it's actually really harder. It's harder to do with a faster car. And if you just want to hit the jumps, then it's really easy. Oops. Yeah. So there you go. Again, I think the Crew 2, the Crew 1 was much more about driving and maybe racing, maybe, but I think the Crew 2 is much more about being a Red Bull commercial. And so my idea of it being like a driving game is just does not line up with what the Crew is, I think, anymore, at least. And without the Crew 3 on the horizon, I think really, if anything, this game will probably transition into something that's like Steep, where they'll try to figure out how to add more things in it, or wrap it into the other extreme sports video game. Or they had something at an E3. I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago or something like that, but it seemed to me like what they were going to turn the Crew into, because the Crew is not a driving game, at least not anymore. Which is, to me, really unfortunate, because I think that it could be a good driving game if they went for it, I think. I mean, you know, they are the ones with the knowledge, so ultimately they are more informed than me, a person that doesn't make games at all, much less this one. But I think for me, it comes from a longing for more car video games, which I think, again, looking at the statistics for at least what they released for people that had leveled everything, most people leveled street racing and then hypercars, which tells me that people at least enjoy the driving in this game enough to level them. And I think that's what it should really capitalize on. Question mark? What do I know? Okay. There you go. That's the thing. I'm probably not going to do another one of the live summits until the next Motor Pass at the earliest. Assuming that it even looks interesting. I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, this is the Crew 2. The agency